Hi folks, and welcome back to Fishing with Den. So today we're going to be doing a bit of a tutorial on the shotting capacities of floats, and that's going to cover things like wagglers, pole floats, river floats, and it's really aimed at the newer anglers to the sport. If you've been around as long as I have, you'll probably just have picked this up as you've gone along. But basically what we're talking about here is how much shot each float takes, but the markings can be really confusing. For example, this Drennan crystal says it takes 4 grams. Well, okay, fine, but what's that in split shot? This one says it takes 2.5 AAA shot. Well, okay, 2 AA shot you might get, but what's half an AA? And we'll come to that shortly. Luckily on this one, in brackets, it also says it takes 2 grams. Okay. Here, we're looking at this one takes 2 swan. What's a swan? And, oh, this one says 2.5 swan. What's half a swan? Finally on the wagglers, this one is 3 BBs, and they've been quite helpful and they put 1.2 grams. So already you can see that that can be quite confusing. Pole floats, quite often they're actually in grams. This is a little Drennan crystal, and it's 0.4 of a gram. This float also takes 0.4 of a gram. But you may well find that if you go and buy some floats in the tackle shop for pole fishing, it may not say 0.4 of a gram, it may say 4 times 14. Bigger floats, 4 times 16, bigger again, 4 times 18, and so on. So what's that all about? And then stick floats, and this is a homemade stick float. Very often they're marked up in number 4s, and this one is 3 times 4. In other words, 3 number 4s. Now, that's kind of a traditional sort of a thing, which is a throwback. Not actually needed anymore, because you're not necessarily just going to put 3 number 4s down the line. And the same with all of these. You're not necessarily going to put, for example, 2 or 3 swan on there, because you've got to take account of what's going down the line as well. But that's where the confusion comes into it. And so what we need to do is to understand how to convert all of those things into an easy format. So you can say, oh yeah, it's 4 grams, so that's 5 AAs or 2.5 Swan Shot. There you go. What I have done is I've got some shot here, and I've got this really old 8 compartment dispenser. This is, that's an old one from a lead one, by the way, and if you're in the UK, you're not allowed to use lead weights because they were banned quite a few years ago. The only sizes of lead weights you can use are from a number 8, which is a tiny little shot, down things like sort of number 9, number 10, number 13, and again, we'll get to that shortly. I tend to use anchor shot. This is one from my son's box, which I've stolen just for now. This one is the non-toxic variety. There's all sorts of different varieties of stuff out there, but I tend to use the anchor because it works for me. This one is only, I think it's a 6 compartment dispenser, but it doesn't quite give me what I want. If you're going to do this, I would recommend you get one like this. And basically what you've got is the range of shot from SSG. In this case, it goes down to number 10, but you may not necessarily need that for the standard sort of angling or match fishing that you might do. In terms of packaging, you can also buy them in little single refill tubs or these little dispensers. Entirely up to you how you want to do it. Right, so let's talk about what shot, split shot, you need. And to make it easy, what I've done, at great expense, I've gone out and produced this for you. Oh, move that back out of the way for now. So really, I'm going to try and do this without seeing it. I'm going to try and do it from watching the screen there. But what you've got, I've put on here all the shots from an SSG shot down to a number 8. And what you'll find is that the biggest shot I use, and the biggest shot that comes in most dispensers, is this SSG shot. And that's what's also known as a swan shot. Also known as just swan, as you probably just heard. Going down, we've got the AAA shot, also known as AAA, or often just abbreviated to AA shot. Next one is BB, number 4, number 6 and number 8. So all of these here are actually non-toxic varieties, but I happen to have some of these number 8s, which are legal in the UK in lead. What you should also be aware of is that this is 1.6 grams, 0.8 of a gram, 0.4 of a gram, 0.2 of a gram, 0.1 of a gram, and 0.06 of a gram. And that's what you've got to get your head around, okay? And the reason I just use this variety of shots rather than other types of dispensers with different sizes in, because you can get all sorts of shots like sort of AB and stuff like that. Well, I don't think you need those. I reckon that these half a dozen shots are going to do you for most purposes. You may also end up using a number 10 down here. And in fact, one of those anchor dispensers that I just showed you on the piece of paper there does go down to a number 10. Personally, I tend not to use number 10s for my fishing because it tends to be sort of more heavy duty. But if you need a bit of finesse for a slower drop, then number 10s might come in handy. But as we've just pointed out, each of these is half the weight of the one before. So 1.6, 0.8, 0.4, and so on down. That's all you've got to get your head around. Now I've actually done a chart, which is this one, and I'll put a copy of it up on the screen now for you so you can have a look at it. But I'll read from here while you're looking at the screen. And you'll see what I've done here. On the left, you've got split shot. And I've told you on the left-hand column about Swan Shots, AAs, but didn't mention just then, anything below a number 8 is also known as dust shot or just dust because they're so small. You'll notice in the next column, we're now talking about a thing called Stotz. And these are Stotz. Basically, they're a cylindrical shot, based on the idea of split shot, but they're longer, and that makes there's just more surface area to grip onto the line. Now these are number 4s, they're probably banned in the UK because they're lead, but you can get them in number 8s and other sizes. So if you ever hear of anyone talking about Stotz, or even abbreviated to a Stott, that's what they are. The good news with those is, as you see from the chart here, the number 8 and number 10, and in fact all the ones I use, because I don't live in the UK anymore, I got to number 4 here, but the weight of the split shot is equivalent in Stotz. So you don't have to worry too much about it, it's just if it gets mentioned to you. Where it does get complicated is where you get things called styles. Now, do you remember I said that some floats can come, instead of saying 0.4 of a gram, they'll say 4 times 14, or also known as 4 by 14. And that is a 0.4 of a gram float in these style weights. And styles, I don't have any of them because they're a throwback to, I don't know, probably 30 odd years ago when we all started pole fishing in the UK. And they're just another version of the Stotz lead shot there. They're just longer, and as I say, I haven't used them for years, but for some reason, manufacturers keep putting 4 times 14, 4 times 16, 4 times 18, and so on the sides of their floats, just to confuse you. So what I've done in the middle column, I've given you the approximate equivalent of styles to either Stotz or split shot, just so you can get your head around it. And on the right-hand column where it says pole float markings, as I said, manufacturers are putting 4 times 14 on, so I've just put the 4 times 10, 12, 14 and 18 overall sizes on there, just as a quick ready reckoner for you. So that's pretty much what you need to know about shotting capacities and all the silly markings they can put on floats. Hopefully, what we've done now is enabled you to say, okay, I'm going to get a box of shot, whether it be like this one or like my old one here, containing half a dozen or so shots, possibly going down to a number 10. As I say, some people do use number 10s, although I haven't mentioned them on here, mostly because if you're a pleasure angler, number 8s is probably normally as far as you're going to need to go. But what you have got here is a quick ready reckoner to say, okay, these are my shots from SSG down to a number 8. I know that one is half of the next one, and I know in my head now what the actual weight is in grams. And if you don't know that, print one of these off and you'll be able to just refer to it. Once you've got the correlation between split shot and grams up here, it's actually fairly easy to understand what you need to put onto floats. Now, as I said right at the outset, I'm not talking here today about shotting patterns down the line. We're purely talking about the overall capacities of floats. If we are talking about stringing shot out down the line, the shotting pattern, I have got some videos from previous times. So if you go into the playlists, you'll probably find one or two of them in there, where I show you how to set up various rigs of either wagglers or poles. Failing that, feel free, go online, have a look at shotting patterns, and you'll find an awful lot of videos and other articles on exactly how to go about it. But really for today, all I'm trying to do is to get across the basics and the jargon of what it is that we're talking about on the sides of floats here. And really, that's it guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, as always, click the like button. If you want to subscribe, feel free. And until the next time, bye for now.